Drones are here. In the filming industry, security, research, wildlife conservation, and even in medical and humanitarian services. But the sector has largely been unregulated.
We need to know who is this operator of a drone and what exactly do they want to do.
However, the regulations the authority wanted enforced in order to manage the sector are in limbo after Parliament rejected them.
The public participation aspect of these regulations was absolutely not clear.
We have details on why the regulations were rejected and the way forward. Also on this show, stakeholders' views.
The benefits of drones well outweigh the risks, the security concerns.
It should be in a manner that makes the industry grow, enable the amateurs and the newcomers to fit into the industry and let them grow.
Welcome, I'm your host, Alex Chamwada.
It will hover a meter up and it will stay there.
Let's begin by understanding what a drone is. A drone, which is also known as a remote piloted aircraft system, is an unmanned aerial system which has propellers or fixed wings or both. Cleopa Otieno, who works with Kenya Flying Labs, an affiliate of We Robotics, an international NGO working with drones for humanitarian action, takes us through some of the basics of the equipment.
Yeah, this is Mavic Pro from DJI. DJI is a company that manufactures drones. It's a Chinese company. Well, this is a controller. This is actually what you use to attach your device, whether you're using a phone, a mobile phone, or a tablet. And this is the drone itself. You can see I'm unfolding it just to open it up to make it ready for the flight. And these are the blades. It's a multi-copter drone. It has these four rotors. So it has a battery that you can actually detach and charge. This one can only take you for about 28 minutes. 28 minutes of flying time. And to power it, you just press this twice, the first one and the second one longer.
There are different types of drones for different purposes. In disaster response management, they can be used for mapping and data collection.
If there's a fire in an area, there's a building which is on fire, if people are on the ground, they cannot appreciate the extent of damage of the fire if it's probably in a certain floor up there. But if you have a drone that you can fly to be able to assess the situation, you are most likely able to get data that you can feed back to the people on the ground doing rescue, to be able to do rescue with informed information.
But the most common usage of drones in Kenya is in filming and photography, for example, for news gathering, documentaries, and movies. Philip Agunda is a filmmaker.
Long ago, people used to take the same angles using helicopters, which was quite expensive because you could hire, it was for the high-end market. You could hire a helicopter, go in the air and take the same shot. It was also risky because you are risking your life with the camera facing down during that time. But this is a technology that we have to appreciate, because when the technology started, right now you can get the same angle without you going on air.
Chris Omuko, on the other hand, is not only a drone operator, but also a trained aeronautical engineer with skills to repair drones, and this is how he uses the gadgets.
I majorly focus on real estate filming. We have traffic filming. We film, we do the housing plans or plot plans. We film documentaries, the wildlife, the forest filming. We do a bit of mapping, and we do music videos, weddings. We deliver rings using the drone.
Drones are also used in farming, oil exploration, surveying, and security. In conservation too, drones are useful.
As we are all aware, the population of elephants is diminishing significantly. There's, especially within Kenya, I've been told that the human-elephant conflict is one of the hardest issues to solve. Many times elephants are going into some of these farmers' lands and crop raiding, and they're having to be killed, essentially, to save the lives of farmers and some of the Kenyan, population. And one of the things that drones can do is help even move some of these elephants out of these danger areas and keep them away from these areas where they can be killed. Because drones, when they're flying over the elephants think of them as almost a swarm of bees, and so they very quickly move out of the area.
For the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority, this is how the drones are categorized.
One is sports and recreational drones, which that is where the toys fall under. Then we have private use category. Those are the ones that are used for research. And then we have commercial applications. These are the ones that are used for filmmaking. Another use is news gathering.
Amid the increasing use of the technology in Kenya, some stakeholders are concerned as to whether it is okay for it to remain a free-for-all sector.
Since 2013, I've been flying the drone. I've been using it on different locations and just different areas within the country. And Kenya, by that time, Kenya did not know about drones. So people just used to take it like a toy. But now that the government has now known about the drones, it is now becoming a very big issue for people like us in the industry who own drones.
Unfortunately, the drones can be used for many other things. Since it can carry the weight of a camera, it can also carry the weight of a small bomb. So you understand, it becomes a weapon. So the problem is not that the drone can carry a camera. The problem is that the drone can be used to carry other things.
The Kenya Civil Aviation Authority in 2017 came up with regulations to govern the industry. But Parliament rejected the regulations partly because they did not comply with the Constitution and the Parent Act. One of the key reasons why KCAA was keen to enforce the regulations was security concerns.
You would not want to get into a collision with a drone. Either somebody flying a drone and hitting you as a person, even as you're walking, or even if you're driving, and then all of a sudden something just comes up from nowhere and crashes into you, and especially into an aeroplane. We do not want a situation where a drone can get caught up in a collision with an aircraft. That can be disastrous. You have to understand that there are terms and conditions of how you can operate a drone. Even if it's a toy, okay, toys, I guess, the ones that are so limited, you can only operate it around, let's say, your compound, or maybe even inside your house in your sitting room. There are those drones that are that small and they're simple. But the others are actually very, very capable machines. Some of them are even capable of operating beyond your visual line of sight.
KCAA have the responsibility to make sure that everything that goes into the air is safe. Now, if you have a proper drone that can carry tear weight of maybe 1 or 2 kilograms, now a 1 or 2 kilogram bomb is enough to make enough damage to a plane and bring down a whole plane. It can do the same, it can go into an airport and make a difference, or a security site. It can go into, think about it, State House, anywhere, law courts, wherever, undetected, it's up there. So they have a very big role. Let's put yourself in their shoes. They have to be able to control that. So we put a high entry bar so that you know exactly who is coming in.
The authority had recommended that every drone operator be registered with KCAA. Drone operators to seek approval for drone operations from the Ministry of Defense, and operating a drone without a permit would attract a fine of 2 million Kenya shillings or 6 months imprisonment. The regulations had itemized the following fees: import permit 200 US dollars, which is about 20,000 Kenya shillings. Operation license at 100 US dollars, or about 10,000 shillings. Pilot licensing fee ranging from $200 to $400, which is equivalent to 20,000 to 40,000 shillings. Operation certificate at 1,000 US dollars, which comes to about 100,000 shillings. And renewal of operating certificate would cost $600 or 60,000 shillings. The regulations were tabled in the National Assembly in November 2017 and forwarded to the Delegated Committee on Legislation.
When the Delegated Committee deliberates on regulations, it must take certain things into consideration. The first consideration is, does it comply with the Constitution of Kenya? The second consideration is, does it comply with its enabling legislation, what is known as the Parent Act? Now, along with these regulations, attached to these regulations was a memoranda. And in this memoranda, one of the requirements, as provided for the Delegated Legislation Committee, is guided by the Statutory Instruments Act. And indeed, Section 5 stipulates the provisos for how you will engage, how you will consult with what we call public participation, provided for in Article 10 of the Constitution of Kenya, and even in Article 118 of the Constitution of Kenya, that states that the Parliament must facilitate public participation. The public participation aspect of these regulations was absolutely not clear. It was not clear who the authority had spoken to, what the comments or concerns or issues raised by the people they spoke to were. The second ground was that the regulations had within them fines that exceeded the Parent Act. So where the Parent Act says you cannot fine for more than up to, well, beyond 2 million Kenya shillings, the regulations had put in provisos of up to 5 million shillings. So it contravened the Parent Act.
The other issue the committee looked at were the rights of the public and privacy.
They stated it, but there was no regulation articulating and spelling out the right for privacy. For example, are these drones going to be able to fly right into my compound if I'm sitting in a garden or anybody else's compound?
The committee also considered security concerns.
I mean, drones are not something that you just pass regulations on that easily. In fact, until I think it was yesterday, I saw a report of 2 drones that were actually sent to the dais of the Venezuelan president. I can't confirm whether it was true or not, and there was an assassination attempt. In Heathrow in 2016, a plane had a run-in with a drone. In Canada in 2017, there was a plane that actually collided with a drone. So these are very serious issues, and it needs wider engagement across the board, not just simply with the Aviation Authority, but actually with all the people of Kenya.
The regulations therefore remain in limbo amid debate among stakeholders on the way forward.
They would have taken time to understand what is this drone, what are the categories of these drones. They can either categorize them by weight, they can either categorize them by performance, they can either categorize them by altitude, maximum altitude, they can either categorize them by purpose and the market.
Now, in the U.S., the process is fairly straightforward. There's been a lot of discussion from the government to the private sector to organizations that all have a say in some of our drone regulations. And in the U.S., you simply register your drone with the government online. You can get a very quick registration done on the drone you're using. And then you simply go and talk to them about some of the operations you're going to do. And then you can get approval for flying in certain areas fairly quickly. Here, it's been a lot tougher. I mean, we've got all these drones that are meant to be given, essentially to the government for free and given to the people of Kenya to be used for this humanitarian cause. But yet the Kenyan KCAA drone regulations are in this limbo now, to where there's really not officially a rule that says whether or not they're legal or illegal. And so we've even had some problems bringing drones into the country, which has been problematic. Some of the drones we've brought in have been taken by customs.
On that note, we take a short break. We have more on drone regulations in a moment. Welcome back. The use of drones or unmanned aerial vehicles is on the increase in Kenya, but the regulation of the sector is in limbo after the rules the Kenya Civil Aviation Authority had come up with were rejected by Parliament. We are discussing the way forward amid debate among stakeholders on how to formulate the laws. In the meantime, allow us to cross over to Rwanda to get a feel of how drones are used and regulated there. Eugene Anangwe has the following report.
Well, Rwanda has also not been left out when it comes to the incorporation of the drone technology in the various fields. One of the interesting areas where Rwanda has actually done this is in the medical field. We'll be finding out how a decision, a bold one for that matter, to give a startup company a chance is actually paying off right here as far as the distribution of blood and other medical supplies is concerned using the drones.
Rwanda is known to many as the land of 1,000 hills, and the topography in many instances makes it difficult to access some of the most remote areas when it comes to distribution of medical supplies, especially when they are urgently needed.
You know that life is time sensitive. So I can imagine a hospital like Muhororo, which to get provision of blood would do 5 hours, 2 ways. One way and the return way. 5 hours to get blood supplies by truck.
However, today, thanks to the incorporation of the drone technology in Rwanda's health sector, many lives are being saved.
So far now, 20 minutes. You can be operating on a mother giving birth, and then in 20 minutes, you will just call and the drone will be saving you the blood.
The Rwandan government, through Zipline, has achieved over 300,000 kilometers of aerial deliveries across 5,000 flights that have provided over 7,000 units of blood to healthcare services. And here is how it works. A doctor sends the hospital's order by text or phone call to the medical warehouse. Once the order is received, somebody at the medical warehouse packages it. Once packed into the drone, it's launched and it flies automatically out to the clinic through an already calculated path. The clinic will then receive a text message alerting them to get ready to receive the package. The drone then drops the package. Someone from the clinic picks it. In the meantime, the drone stands around and heads back to the medical warehouse to make other deliveries. Meet David Mutabazi, one of the young producers in Rwanda that have incorporated the drone technology in their production.
In our country, they are making it very hard just to use drones. And drones, they are cameras, and I think they may just see the way to, to make it easier for someone, just if he has a drone, if it is registered, because there's nothing illegal. I think you can just do with a drone.
Well, we have seen how the drones are being used here in Rwanda, and it now remains to be seen whether the authorities in charge of regulating this particular sector or their use is going to be loosening up a bit in order to see this use or the incorporation of the drones in various sectors more and more than what we have today. For the Chamwada Report in Kigali, Rwanda, I'm Eugene Anangwe reporting.
Back to the debate in Kenya on drone regulations. First, the registration of drones bit, and drone operator and aeronautical engineer Chris Omuko believes technology can be applied to make the regulators' work easy.
The best way to regulate this drone is come up with an app, a mobile app, that whoever buys a drone enters his serial number. The serial number, his purpose for buying the drone, his name, his ID number. So wherever he goes to fly, he just enters, I'll be flying in this region. Then it reflects to the regulator. When it reflects to the regulator is able to monitor and know how many drones are in the country. Registration of drone, in fact, should be free, because regulators need to understand this drone and know how many are in the country before they channel a way of regulating the drone itself.
You should register and regulate the drones, okay? You register each drone that each person has with the government. Okay, now that they're registered, you get essentially an ID card for that drone. So if a drone were to crash, let's say at an airport in the United States, they could look at that number on that drone and they'd be able to tell the person that owned that. And that's a way of making people more responsible for flying. So you don't have these bad actors that are out there, you know, trying to fly drones, you know, for nefarious purposes.
Many stakeholders feel the fees KCAA wants to impose is prohibitive.
The cost of actually operating a drone ends up more expensive than buying it.
People have seen the drone charges and they have misinterpreted it very badly. So it looks as if a 20,000 shilling drone, you'd have to pay 2 million shillings to operate it. That's not the case. I've seen people saying things like that on social media, but that's not true. So we're going to come up with a simplified version. We'll put it in social media to all and sundry to know exactly what it will cost you to operate and what the terms and conditions will be.
If you're a business person and you really are serious about shooting, then 200,000 shillings should be your kind of money. In fact, let me give you an example. If you have a drone today, how much will you hire that drone out to let's say, a wedding couple or someone who's doing a documentary? 30,000 bob. So think about it. How many times are you going to rent it out to get your money back? It's a business. It's a business. So what they don't want is guys playing around with what they call toys, yet it's something that can be used as a weapon.
Right now in Kenya, there is no institution that offers training in drone piloting.
In the US, there are a number of different organizations that can do that. Our organization trains companies, organizations, individuals on the proper ways to fly a drone. And so we'll have courses for this. We'll have specific licensed courses that we teach people how to fly a drone properly. In Kenya, that does not exist, okay? And so part of this process that the KCAA is going through with these regulations is going to require them to get knowledge from whether that's South Africa or America or some of these other countries that already have these training programs and make an official training course that's approved by the KCAA.
What we are encouraging are people to apply, people who have that kind of knowledge, to apply to create drone training schools here in this country. So we're positively encouraging people to do that. I think so far we have 3 applicants who want to teach people how to operate drones. And once they finish all the requirements, we're going to grant them that authority because it will be useful. So there's a big scope for drone training in this country.
With that, we come to the end of the show, but conversation continues. Our hashtag is drone regulations. On behalf of the entire Chams media crew that made this production possible and our broadcasting partner, KTN News Channel, I'm your host, Alex Chamwada, and bye-bye for now.